Hi guys, it's SkintBoot here, and today what I'm going to be bringing you guys is yet another No Man's Sky video. And in today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the Pathfinder update. So recently I made a video detailing pretty much all of the changes and new features that have been added in with the Pathfinder update to No Man's Sky, and I generally just talked about it, gave my kind of opinion on it, talked a little bit about how well stuff works, other things like that. However, today what I'm going to be bringing you guys is almost an extension of that video, but similar to the first one I made regarding the game as a whole, as in is it worth a purchase. I'm now going to be talking about the Pathfinder update relating to the state of the game, i.e. has the Pathfinder update actually revived No Man's Sky? So in this video, I'm going to be evaluating some of the additions to the game, talking about whether or not they are actually useful in the game. Do they actually help with the problems which people had with the game? I think it'll be worthwhile making this video now because I've had time actually playing the game. I've had time with the update. I've had time to kind of think about it, think about what's been done with it and perhaps what hasn't been done that well, and overall given my judgment as to whether or not this has actually breathed some life into No Man's Sky. So first and foremost, I want to talk a little bit about vehicles. Now, the introduction of vehicles into No Man's Sky is much appreciated. Before these were actually confirmed or before they were in the game, the leak of vehicles existing was just something I wasn't really interested in. I didn't really see the point of it as such. I was perfectly happy using my ship as a means of transport across planets or walking. Vehicles didn't seem that big of a deal. I was kind of hoping they wouldn't be in the game, to be honest with you. But now they are in the game, I can safely say that they are a great addition to the game. It solves that issue before where the game just felt really boring and slow. If you wanted to go to a question mark across the map, you'd have to fly there, that would waste resources, then you'd have to land, that would waste resources again, or you walk there, which takes 15 minutes, and then on the way you get attacked or it starts raining or you get fucked over. So vehicles have pretty much solved that issue. Traveling is a lot more satisfying now, and it actually has a purpose now with the introduction of, you know, the extended base building and things like that. Vehicles allow you to explore your home planet with relative ease, as I said, instead of wasting all of your resources in your ship or walking there, which, to be honest with you, no one wants to do. Of course, there being 3 vehicles also adds that extra bit of content into the game and just really provides you with a sense of direction, trying to get these blueprints for all 3 of the vehicles. I've only got the Roma blueprint, so I still have to get another 2, and fuck knows how long that is gonna take. So vehicles, to my surprise and quite a lot of other people's surprise, are actually a really good addition to the game. I thought it would kind of just be like this weird tacky arcadey thing, which is sort of like a gimmick, bit of a novelty thing, sort of worn off after like a few hours. But no, it's actually useful. It actually plays a part in the game, and I do admire Hello Games for putting that much effort into making sure they aren't just this thing that you do once, go, that's pretty cool, and sort of forget about it, go back to using your ship, go back to walking or whatever. Also, in that video, I talked about my gripe with how you could only use vehicles on your home planet. I talked about how that doesn't really make that much sense, as you don't really spend that much time on your home planet. A good percentage of the game is about exploring, about getting to the center of the galaxy, and the whole concept of vehicles being used to explore planets would make more sense if you could use them anywhere. And this wasn't just me that said this, a lot of other people in the community did say it. So this evening the developers actually released a hotfix. It was about 29 meg or something, just under 30 meg update for the game, and what this did was fixed a few bugs and problems caused by the update, but it also, most importantly, added the ability to build an exocraft terminal on any planet. So you can land on a planet for a first time if you have the right materials and you have the blueprints and everything. You can just pop down a little terminal and there you go, you have a vehicle. And this basically shows that the devs do listen to the community. If enough people talk about it, the devs will do something about it. And yes, it's a bit of a stupid thing to not include in the first place, in my opinion, and probably a lot of other people's opinions. But what makes it important is that they listened and that they changed a fault, as you will, and made the game better because of that, and I can respect them for that. Most definitely. However, vehicles do have their downsides. Vehicles do actually break the game in some kind of way. Now, before vehicles, there was a major problem with the game to do with popping. You'd be flying and then the landscape would, pop in or fade in this ugly transition which they have on the game. It was really bad. Even on like really, really good PCs or just PCs which are more powerful than consoles, it was bad pretty much. There wasn't a slider for like level of detail, for render distance, anything like that, which I'm not too sure why that's not in the game. But there were mods as well, like at release, which made it better, but are now not supported because it's been updated. But vehicles have made this problem worse, because the thing is, vehicles are pretty fast. They're not as fast as your ship, but they are faster than walking, which means that if you are driving, or if you have something like a boost upgrade on your car and you're driving, the popping is even worse because you're basically going faster than the planet can generate. It's kind of like back in the day when you used to play Minecraft, you used to go in creative mode, pace forward, you'd see the map loading in as you go like block by block. Pretty much the exact same thing. And this wouldn't really be a problem apart from two major annoyances I have. First of all, this can result in a loss of frame rate, and sometimes this depends. Sometimes it can be quite significant. Sometimes it can be like 20 FPS or something, but it also just makes the game look ugly. Everything is just popping in. The landscape doesn't exist. It just does that and it's in. And my biggest gripe with it is that when you hit an animal and this animal ragdolls as it dies, this destroys your frame rate, like unbelievable amounts. I'll be driving and getting like fairly consistent 60 FPS. I'll hit like a little hedgehog or whatever the fuck it is, and it would start ragdolling around, and I get about 8 FPS, and it will just grind to a halt. This happens consistently, and it's not like, oh, once it's dead and you keep driving, it goes back up again. This pretty much caps the game at like 10 FPS for a solid like 20 seconds before it sorts itself out. And this is something which, to be honest with you, a pretty big deal, because it means that I don't really want to use vehicles, because if I hit an animal, it's just going to destroy my frame rate, and it gets really, really irritating. Say if you do that and then you get stuck and you're trying to get out of this little hole, you're on about 8 FPS. It's just awful. Also, I have the problem where sometimes vehicles just don't drive forward. I'll be holding down W and the tires will be spinning, but I won't move. I'll have to jump a few times until it actually starts accelerating. Why that is, I don't know. Maybe that's a feature, maybe I'm missing something, but it just feels really, really strange. It acts exactly the same for reversing. It's just a bit of a weird little thing. But yeah, I've chatted a bit of shit about vehicles, but overall they are very, very good. And I must admit, as I said before, they are a really nice addition. Something which I initially thought wouldn't really do that much is something which I can now respect. And I think it is actually a really good foundation for future updates. Most definitely. So last thing which I want to talk about is actually base building. The addition of some base building elements. In the game now we have a blueprint system where you get nanite crystals, and you can use these to buy different blueprints for structures, materials, things like that. You can also buy basically weed and grow it. I mean, the description, as I said, sums it up. But base building feels a lot more meaningful now. Before, it felt pretty good. It felt nicely done, but it did feel kind of empty and ultimately pointless. Now it feels like it has more of a meaning, especially since you can now share your bases and people can find them, which does give you an incentive to kind of make them that bit better. And also because of vehicles, it does kind of complement the whole like, oh, this is your home sort of thing. However, it does still just feel pointless. In the same way that Fallout 4 settlements felt really fun to begin with, but then ultimately were just like, why am I doing this? There's literally no point. The only point to having a base is so you can get free resources. It's just a safe way of getting quick bit of plutonium or thamium 9 or whatever. It doesn't really serve a purpose, and I don't think base building ever will serve a purpose, because the nature of the game involves you exploring. You're not just going to live on this one planet. Once you've done everything on it, you're just going to want to move on, and then chances are you'll probably never go back to it. So base building at its foundation is kind of flawed. It does add more content, but at the same time, the content is just kind of there for the sake of being there. I'm not hating, because I can respect that they've made base building that bit better. But again, it just doesn't quite feel that necessary. Fun to begin with, but ultimately a bit of a waste of time. So to conclude and to answer the question, there is still a long way to go with No Man's Sky. This is the 1.2 update. 1.2, that's nothing. The future, however, does look bright. If Hello Games continue with their updates and they continue adding free content, this game in a year's time, as I've said many a times, will be great. It may even be close to the game we were promised. And I have a feeling, and a lot of other people in comments from my previous videos have the feeling too, that multiplayer is possible. It might even be on the horizon. With the introduction of all of these different online elements, like seeing other people's bases, like sharing your bases on the Steam Workshop. It just feels like they're slowly building up to a multiplayer reveal, and the path ahead seems to be suggesting that as well. The path ahead could be interpreted as the path to the game we wanted, or to multiplayer. So to conclude, the Pathfinder update hasn't really revived the game, but it has just made the price that bit more justified. A lot of concerns people had was that the game was too expensive for what it was. There wasn't enough content to justify the price, and it still is expensive. I mean, way more than it should be sold at. However, with the game actually being on sale on Steam at something like £24, that's a fairly decent price. But as I said, the game just needs more content. So if you've been playing since day one, this update's probably going to be quite nice. It's probably going to give you a nice kind of refreshing taste in your mouth. If this is your first time playing though, you'll probably get bored fairly quickly, as the novelty does kind of wear off really quickly. However, as I said, in a year's time, the game will be great if the devs keep up with their updates. But yes, I wouldn't say that the update has revived No Man's Sky, but I most definitely will say that it's put it in the right direction. The reviews on Steam are now mixed instead of mostly negative. There you go, the path ahead. There you go. That does somewhat show revival, but not quite the revival that we are expecting. So that's pretty much the end of the video, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. As always, if you did enjoy, then please do feel free to leave a like on the video. If you guys could also subscribe to MZK, then that'd be absolutely fantastic. And as always, I will see you guys on my next video. This is SkintBoot, signing out.